back to Think Like a Dog podcast. And today we are going to talk about dog body language cues and breaking down conversations between dogs and conversations between humans and dogs. So, we talked about this episode a little while ago where we asked everyone to send in videos, and we were going to review those videos during the episode and break down the conversation that's happening. And because of that, we do recommend that you watch this episode because it'll be easier for you to understand. But if you are listening, we're going to do our best to just break down the conversation so you understand what's going on. Before we get into it, I just want to remind everyone that if you have any questions about training, if you want to get some feedback, the best way to do it is to sign up for a consultation. You can sign up for a consultation through thinklikeadogpodcast.com, and where you click on join the podcast, create an account, and then you'll be able to make a reservation under video consultation for Think Like a Dog podcast episode, keeping in mind that your consultation will be posted as an episode. Also, there is the workshop coming up on October 24th through the 26th, and the workshop is going to be all hands on. There are some audit spots left. And if you really want to a working spot, you can be added to the wait list. So if there's any cancellations, you'd be the next one up, depending on where you are in the list. You can sign up for the workshop on mirrorimagek9.com/MIK9 masterclass. It's going to be super fun. There's going to be tons of people there, folks from the Mirror Image K9 extended group. There's going to be Ridge. I'm going to be there. It's going to be a fun one. So definitely check that out. And of course, like we always talk about, if you want to support the Best Chance program, visit AussieAlbiesFoundation.org. We do have some amazing puppies looking for a home. Let's get into this episode. Today, we're going to talk about the conversations between humans and dogs and dogs and dogs.
We're talking about conversations today.
We're talking about conversations. And when what we mean about conversations is just the body language and what's happening there without really any words, So people that sent in the videos, Millie's going to break down what's going on there. And a lot of times we don't understand it, right? Because not all of us are expert dog trainers that works with dogs day in and day out. So right. Millie's going to look at those videos and tell us what's really going on there. So let's get into it.
Okay. And then we're hoping to make this kind of a series. So if you do have other videos after you watch this episode that you would love to be included in a future podcast episode, please send it to info@thinklikeadogpodcast.com. All right. So now here is my time to shine. Share the screen. This dog, I know this dog. I've worked with this dog. Her name is Rosie. Me and the entire team have worked with her since she's a puppy. She's gone through our Collar Connect program. So she's e-collar trained, off-leash trained. She's very, very reliable off-leash. This is what her mom sent in, was just her doing recall practice. So we'll watch it through once and then we'll kind of talk through it a little bit.
Rosie, come. Let's go. Sit. Good girl.
Good Rosie.
I know, she's so good. Okay, so everything that Rosie did on the surface here was perfect. I mean, she listened to every command. I would say if I had one note for Rosie, literally one note, and there's really not anything mom did wrong here, but it happens right here at the very beginning here. So one, if we go back a little bit, she had already recalled her and Rosie's like, but what about this leaf on the ground, right? So we lose attention here a little bit, then we lose attention here again, but it's almost, the energy is almost like Rosie's going through the motions here. So it's not really, she's not as connected to mom as I would like her to be. Now, that could be because they've done this drill a trillion times and Rosie's like, I could do this with my eyes closed, which is fine. But I'm wondering if mom sped things up a little bit, not in more in like diversity of what she's asking. So one drill I would like to kind of keep her on her toes with is call her and then ask for a sit halfway through, or call her and then, ask for a down and tell her to stay, or whatever it is. Just kind of switch it up to make it where Rosie's actually having to pay attention to mom. The problem here is that Rosie is extremely smart. I've worked with her. She's very, very smart. And she can, like I said, she can keep track of mom kind of without having to give her full attention. And I think sometimes I see people, once we get through, obviously, if we get through like the big reactivity, not that Rosie ever had, we've worked with her since a puppy, but if we get through any big problems, we have a solid foundation. I see people kind of plateau here, right? So the dog is like, yeah, I get the drills, I know the drills. And then we have to get creative with what those drills are and to just keep the dog on their toes a little bit more. So right here, I would maybe ask for her to move back a little bit because Rosie's a little bit ahead of her. None of this, like if you're starting e-collar and this is what you get, great. That's perfect. But because Rosie's been doing this for a while now, I want to get a little bit more precise with her and get a little bit pickier with her just so she's not giving me half of her attention. So I like the check-ins here. I mean, they're kind of half check-ins. She's like glancing up at her and then looking away, which is fine. There we go. Now we got a full check-in. She kind of falls back on her own. Good. Mom gives like a hand signal. I don't know if that's something she's been working on. Rosie goes into a down there. That's another thing that you can kind of get picky with her on, is if you tell her sit, enforce a sit. I mean, we're at a point now where we're looking more at precision obedience and not the mindset so much. I mean, obviously mindset in the very beginning of this video, but we're hoping to ask for precision in order to get a little bit more of a connected mindset from her in this moment. Does all of that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. And I think it's nice to go into that. Like you said, if you're a beginner and you're getting this response, that's great. But then as you work more and more with your dog, you're gonna go more into precision. You want to clean up all these little hiccups, right? So as she was calling her back, the fact that she kind of stopped for like a second and just looked down, that's something to work on.
Yeah.
Or she looked away as she's coming to you, that's something to work on. With any skill, as you work more into it, you want to start getting more precise. And I think that's awesome because it always gives you something to work on, is that precision, right? If I would have looked at that video myself, I would have thought, great, that's awesome. She came, she walked right next to her off
Absolutely.
leash. This is cool. But as you get more into it, the looking away, everything that you pointed out makes a lot of sense.
It's a matter of where you're at. Like, don't get too picky with your dog if you're at the very beginning. Like you said, that's not fair. But I'm assuming Rosie's mom sent this in because she wants feedback of like, now what? You know what I mean? Like, we're doing it, but now what do we work on? Are there little things in this that I want to tweak? Are there, like, she's got the language and she's got the skill set enough to be sufficient off leash and safe off leash too. But it's a matter of, if we want to continue to improve, there's other drills that we could do. Another one I just thought of is sending her like, place board is in front of you. You're 10 feet away, probably a little bit further away for Rosie because she's really, really smart, like I said. And mom's an amazing handler too. So that, like, her skill set also plays into whether or not we can kind of up this and her comfort level with the e-collar. Standing about 10 feet away from the place board, having Rosie in a here by her side, sending her to place, and then the second all four paws are on place, recalling her. The second that she's back in a here by your side, sending her back to place. So like really keeping it like quick paced, of you're not going to get a moment to disengage, and see if that kind of gets her at least to set the tone of pay attention to me a little bit more.
You're starting to work on recall. You're celebrating the small wins, basically, right? Just your dog coming back to you. All of those are wins when you're going off leash, recall, e-collar, all the things that you guys do. When you start getting picky with it, is it when you really get your dog to come back to you and they do that a few times? Because it's not going to look perfect, right? Like, you're just celebrating the fact that they're coming back to
Absolutely.
you when
Yeah.
you call. So
Yeah.
once they get good at that and you do it and they always come back, then you start nitpicking like the little actions, like looking away, disconnecting from you. In Rosie's case, do you correct, like do you just add different, like, so you're talking about adding different drills and things to excite, or not excite her, but to get her interested?
To raise the difficulty level. It just got too
Mhm.
easy for her.
Got it.
Or you could do that same drill in a more like distracting environment. That's another option as well. But I mean, we've had Rosie do this in a pack of dogs and she's great at it.
So she's proven to done it perfectly. She
Yeah.
just, so for Rosie's case specifically, she just needs more
Yep.
engagement, something to bring her in. Okay, got it.
And not even needs. Like that to me is a strong word in this. It's that mom really enjoys training and Rosie
Yeah.
also really enjoys training. So it's, if you're looking for a level up, there's always a level up. There's always something that you can do to make things a little bit harder. And it at that point in your journey with your dog, it becomes less about should you and more about can you. And that's a big thing with Rosie that and I love working with dogs that are at that point, because then it's just like, what can we accomplish together? What can I teach you? Is there, now that we have the language together, now that we're clear on pressure and release, we have the relationship, how far can we really take this? But I think that that's where a lot of people, once they get through the problem areas, they just stop. But that's the fun part, is like, what can we learn together? What can we do together and problem solve and kind of figure out, okay, is it me that I'm doing something wrong, that you're not understanding this? Are you, disconnecting from me, without this huge, heavy weight of like, we have to solve this. It's like we get to work through this together.
I love that. And that's why I always talk about the relationship based training in a way that it's not about the training. It's not necessarily a training, it's a connection that you're building with your dog. It's about you understanding who they are at their core. Like Rosie, she's smart, she's driven, she likes to work. Like you guys know that about her. You've gotten to know her. It's not like you're just trying to teach her this recall drill and disregarding who she really is and her personality and her likes and dislikes and her drive. Especially when I'm talking to our adopters, I was talking to someone about Bug the other day. I'm explaining to them, Bug's personality, how he is. And I was trying to explain to them that the training that I was emphasizing so much, that I said he needs to continue this kind of training. Like he thrives with the structure, he thrives with this relationship based training, but it's a lifestyle. And I think that's when a lot of people don't understand, when we put the word training in there, it's not really a training, it's like a relationship you're building with your dog. And then, like you said, there's always something you guys are going to work on together, because you're just slowly just building your relationship and connecting at a higher and higher level, and adding challenges together, and you're changing things about yourself and you're helping them change things about themselves. So it's not really just like this trick or treat training that we're talking about. It's like really you're building this like really strong bond with your dog, and I love that.
Yeah. I mean, there's no, at least with this training, there should be no end to it. Like unless you're happy and your dog is happy. Not all dogs like to work as much as Rosie does. But then I think it's really good and important that you match the right person. And we've gone over that a million times, the right person with the right breed. I mean, her breed was bred to work, and mom specifically went out and got a breed that could do that because she knew she enjoyed teaching. So I think that that's also a really big important thing too. Okay. Next video. So this is one of my virtual clients. The Dachshund is one of my virtual clients. I love him, and I love his mom. His name is Gustav. I've been working with him since he was itty bitty. I have the cutest picture of him. I've never met him in real life, but this dog is adorable. Okay. She sent me these videos, not a ton of context, but this is play between Gustav and then this black lab. I do not know who this black lab is, but we'll go through the video first once, and then we'll kind of go back through and talk about whether it's healthy or unhealthy play between a small dog and a large dog.
This is a very cute video, by the way. I needed this.
And then we've got another.
There's like another dog in the pool there.
Okay,
Just sitting
Andrea,
in the pool.
what do you think watching that video? Would you allow that play? It's not
You
a trick
know,
question.
I would. I mean, I do allow it.
It's great play between a large
Yeah.
breed and a small breed dog.
Yeah.
Like that's really, really good play.
Is it a good sign? I take it as a good sign. I could be wrong. When large dogs go on their belly when they're playing with a small dog, is
Yeah,
that a good sign every time? Like, for example, when Bruno is with our small dogs, he immediately goes in his belly and gets down to his like their level, kind of like what he's doing, and kind of rolls over
Yeah.
or puts the booty up and kind of just stays down with them.
Yeah.
Is that always a good sign?
It's okay. So when it comes to body language, there's nothing that's always a good sign and always a bad sign. Nothing. I think we've talked about this before, but I look at like one body language sign as a part to a whole puzzle. I think that that's really, really, really important to think of. So, if I walked into a room and I had my arms crossed, I could be cold, I could be angry, I could be, but my facial expressions, if I slam the door behind me, all like the environmental, everything else is going to clue you into what that body language sign means in that moment. What I'm looking for when it comes to like a large breed dog and a small breed dog is the large breed dog's understanding of how big they are and recalibrating how they would play with a smaller dog versus a larger dog. I'm looking at that for puppies as well. So I'm assuming that this lab does not play with the other lab in this way, in this like really, really gentle way. So we'll kind of go back through. I mean, lots of mouth open. And if you're looking at this, it is quite obvious that Gustav is the one that is running this play, right? Like he is absolutely in charge of this. There was one time that he had the lab by the neck. I mean, he is absolutely, like, look at this, right? So he's on top of him, got him by the neck right here. And the lab is loving it, right? Like the lab is having a great time. And right here, in order to get him kind of off of him, he just rolls over. But if you notice when he rolls over in a way where he makes sure he doesn't land on top of him. So he's being very, very, very careful with this other dog, which I think is great. There's a lot of, okay, so that play that we were just looking at was not a lot of space in between them. Like I said, Gustav was on top of him and really, like, I mean, it was mouth on mouth. I mean, they were on top of each other. Now we see there that he's creating some space in between them. There's a couple barks here, which is totally fine. They're just playing. Totally fine. They're just playing because it's totally fine with the other dog. If I noticed, or if you noticed any signs in this other dog that he was uncomfortable or getting tense, the barking wouldn't be okay, the climbing on top of him wouldn't be okay. But because it's okay with the other dog and it's being reciprocated in a way that is not going to physically hurt Gustav, then we're fine. So that's a lot of play, is looking at how it's not like, kind of going back to that body language question, one move for a dog isn't inherently, it's not always good or bad. You have to look at the other dog's response. So sometimes if a dog even gives a play bow, like a few feet away from another dog that I'm working with, if that dog's not ready, that's pressure. If the dog I'm working with isn't ready, that is considered pressure to the other dog, and I'm going to move the dog that gave the play bow away. And it's fair, even though the play bow was the intention of the play bow was to play, it's still, I have to go off of what the other, where the other dog is at in that moment. Mm-hmm. So now we've got some give and take of space, which is great. So Gus moves in, then he's able to give space. So it's not like he's just constantly pummeling him, even though he absolutely is now. But look at how patient this lab is. And then boom, lab runs away in order to basically be like, chase me, come on, let's switch this up a little bit. And Gustav is like, absolutely. And then now it's a little bit of zoomies, a couple play bows. That right there is perfect. Look at how he went in. Boom, just a little tiny, like, I understand you're small. Like, he slowed himself down before he ever actually got to him. Yeah. So it wasn't, I'm assuming with the other lab, if they're playing, he's pummeling that other lab because he's huge. I mean, there is nothing negative about this play. Both dogs are really enjoying themselves. And then at the end, I mean, we don't truly see how it ends, but The lab goes, hey, I think I want to swim now, which very lab. And then it's not like Gustav, at least at the end of this video, he shakes it off. That's normally a great body language sign. I know I just said that we don't speak in always and nevers, but when a dog shakes it off like that, especially after any sort of intense interaction or shift in environment, whatever it is, that is almost always a good sign. And he's not just continuing to annoy the other dog. If in this moment, if Gustav kept going up to this lab and the lab was very clear about, I want to swim now, I'm over it, that's when I would step in.
I think when we're seeing big dogs, small dogs play together, we are so focused on the big dogs not hurting the little dogs that we forget if the little dogs are asking for it, right? Like you need to
Absolutely.
pay attention to both of them. We had Louis and Bruno playing. And Bruno, I believe he's better with little dogs than the big dogs. He's calmer. He kind of knows they're smaller. I feel like with the big dogs, a lot of times he's trying to mount on them or be mouthy or just he doesn't know how to engage in the same way I've seen him with the small dogs. With small dogs, he's on his belly, he's trying to get down to their level, he gives them a little bit more space, he doesn't try to mount them. So he was playing with Louis and Louis wasn't really enjoying it. Like he was trying to initiate play, Louis wasn't having it. So Louis went for him and he just kind of backed up, you know.
Perfect.
So that's when I got Louis out of there because Louis didn't want to.
Perfect.
But I think when we're trying to get the big dogs and the small dogs, sometimes the small dogs are not playing in a healthy way and the big dogs are really trying. So that's when you really have to watch out for the small dogs too.
Absolutely.
Like, are they doing it? Are they being respectful or are they not really pushing their limits?
Absolutely. And I think in that moment with Louis and Bruno, when Louis's like, I'm not interested in playing, I think it's fine what you did of like removing Louis, but I think that to me is a teaching moment. So if I see a dog who's not interested in playing, as long as I'm like set up to work that in that moment, if I'm in the middle of a pack of dogs and I've got other dogs with higher priorities, then yes, I'm just doing the easiest thing and removing that dog and then saying I'll get back to you. But in that moment, I would work Bruno. So every time Bruno would come up to Louis, I would basically say, no, he said no. That's no means no. So that's what we mean by like advocating for your dog when it comes to socialization is when Louis says no, if Bruno isn't understanding that, we need to then move in and teach Bruno what no means in that moment, or else Louis has every right to get bigger in his correction.
And I'm just now realizing I should have been the one sending a video too so we could review it.
We can. Do you have one?
I don't
just text
have
it to
any
me.
videos right now that
that would be so
engaging.
fun.
Yeah. But next we're gonna do another episode and I'm gonna have a ton of videos ready because I have a lot of different personalities in this house.
You sure do. You sure do.
Many different personalities. But yeah, I think that was a great video to watch. It was like easy, but it really showed us what healthy play looked like. And especially the size difference. It was great to see how that looked healthy. You know, that in two different dogs, different sizes, different temperaments, they really were engaging in some healthy play. So it was good to see that.
Yeah, I think we do a lot, at least on my like Instagram, on the Mirror Image Canine Instagram. I show a lot of like what unhealthy play looks like because that's what we work on. But I do think it's really important to look at what healthy play looks like. What's your goal? Okay, now we're going to switch gears. We'll get back into play a little bit later. We got an email along with this next video, so I'll read it first. Just kidding. The email basically says, I was going to write a description of what happens in the video, but you guys tell me. There is a rabbit in this video, and he said, I walked by the rabbit in the video 3 times, and he did the exact same thing. So let me show you this video. And this video is from Jacob, and this dog's name is Finnegan Freckles Wiggly Peanut Butter Butt. Finn for short. Okay. You can see it, right? Okay.
Yes.
So Rabbit is right up there, right next to the house.
Dog is off leash.
Mm-hmm. We've got a ball. Dad's carrying a ball. Rabbit is now like 15 feet from the dog. I'm actually really bad at judging that. And what just happened is Finn switched sides, checked in, was like, okay, there is a rabbit over there, but then switched sides to Dad or on the to put dad in between him and the rabbit, but is still giving a lot of eye contact and wants that ball very, very, very badly. And then as a reward, he throws the ball. Okay, Andrea, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I feel like I'm cheating because you kind of talked about this one before we started the episode. But
I guess that's true. That is cheating. But what are your thoughts? If you just saw this, okay, obviously it's better than the dog trying to eat the rabbit.
right.
Okay.
But when the dog is still so worried about their distractions that you have to distract them with something else, it's kind of like you're just using one against the other. It's like two distractions. Which one is more powerful? When in
Yeah.
reality, you want your dog to be connected to you, and it's so that they're not worried about the distractions, right? I
Yeah.
think that's the goal of being off leash. It's like you could have hundreds of distractions, but none of them are more powerful than you being there as their leader or their parent, the person who's guiding them.
Exactly. This video is great. I mean, I think
Yeah.
it is very impressive that this dog shows impulse control for this ball when it could very easily go and chase that rabbit if it wanted to right then.
Right.
But my only issue with this is what you said, but I would put it more in terms of, can this dog be neutral?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I wonder how much are we practicing neutrality on a walk? If I do not have that ball with me, what is that dog doing? If I don't have treats with me, if I don't have anything that is stimulating with me on the walk, can this dog calmly walk by my side? Check-ins, but like not so intense check-ins, and walk past this rabbit in the same way. Or walk past another dog, or walk past, I mean, even just when there's no distractions. Does this dog, I guess my big question, and we don't know the answer, but does this dog require stimulation in order to be next to him? Or can this be something that the dog is willing to be neutral by this person's side?
He reminds me a lot of Max.
Yeah.
Max is a sweetheart, but he just gets very distracted, by his surroundings. Like if he saw that rabbit, he would have been all over it. Like not in a bad way, but definitely interested. But the ball always wins. So if I had a ball
Absolutely.
in my hand, he's next to me, connected to me. But if I don't have that ball, he's kind of all over the place because he wants
But
to explore.
He's not connected to you.
Exactly.
He's connected to the ball.
To the ball.
Yeah.
Yep. To the ball. Like I took him to the field when Ozzy I had him taken in because they were going to do the interview and Max had to be there. So of course I take him to a baseball field full of baseballs and guys throwing baseballs around. And when I tell you, I got on that field and I told Ozzy, whatever you do not let him pick up a baseball.
Uh-huh.
Like everything's out of my hands after that. Like he's not going to leave me alone.
It's not my dog anymore.
He's not going to focus on what we need him to focus on. So I get on the field. The guys are playing fetch. They're throwing balls around. Max.
Did you just call?
Well, fetch.
Your husband is a professional baseball player, but you just called
fetch with each other. Well, well, that paints a good picture right there. So,
okay.
Max sees the fetch being played amongst the professional baseball players, and he's walking so nicely next to me because we have the loop on. I mean,
Good.
We're not off leash trained, but he sees that and he wants to go and participate in the fetch playing. So I get him to walk next to me because that loop, we always talk about the figure 8 is awesome. He gets there, we walk past the guys with the baseballs and
playing fetch.
We get in the dugout, and of course there's more baseballs there. Mm-hmm. And he wants the baseballs, like he wants it, but I got the loop. I'm making him sit, staying next to me. And then Ozzy goes and gives him a baseball. And then that's it. That's over. That's my day. And now it's me against the baseball. I no longer matter to Max. If you want to take the baseball away, you're going to have to have that moment, and there's cameras there. There's people like, oh, cute doggy with the baseball. So Ozzy's doing a live interview and Max is sitting at the reporter's feet chewing a baseball. I'm like, at any moment, this dog will drop this baseball and start barking at the cameraman to throw it for him. And it's live. I'm like, and then he's going to do Max things that he's like a golden doodle, 80-pound golden doodle. and he barks very loudly and he's very demanding when he comes to his balls.
But let me guess, that didn't happen because it's Ozzy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if you guys have listened to this episode before, in Ozzy's world, nothing bad happens.
And weirdly, nothing bad happens.
Exactly.
I don't know how he lives with such will that nothing will ever happen to him that's bad.
No.
And just because of that, nothing bad happens to him. Like nothing bad happens around him. Like he just can will something to go well, and it just does.
It does. It was a great interview. Max didn't drop the ball. He looked very cute with a baseball in his mouth. It was just a cute prop. And anyways, this dog reminds me a lot of Max because with a ball in my hand, Max would do anything and everything.
This dog reminds me a lot of Kemper too. I mean, Kemper's very ball driven as well. I think, it is not a bad thing if you are in a situation where like you need him to sit still for pictures or whatever it is, and like you don't have time to train for it. If you use a ball as the motivation to get the dog to work for you. But I think if this is how every walk goes, I want to sprinkle in a lot of like, we need some neutrality on our walks now.
Yeah.
Because if you go back and you listen to our exercise podcast, I want to make sure that, especially for our working breeds, our dogs who have, a higher threshold for exercise and mental stimulation, I want to make sure that we are not creating an adrenaline junkie, a dog who always needs something to pay attention to, always needs, an iPad kid. Can't just sit still for a minute or just be calm and neutral and enjoy where they're at with you. That, I mean, and very well, like I said, this is not my client. This is one of our listeners. It's very possible that this is something that dog's absolutely capable of doing, but given the choice of off leash and the ball, and I love that the dog does switch sides and moves away from the rabbit, but I'm also wondering, is the dog doing that as a way to almost kind of poke at the owner of like, okay, I moved away, now throw the ball. I moved away, now throw the ball. So I'm wondering if that's more of it, because it was less about, hey, that thing stresses me out and I'm going to move away. It was more, okay, I see that thing over there, but I think it'll be easier for me to get dad to throw the ball than it will be for me to go off and chase this rabbit. So I'm going to move away and then look up, be like, okay, give me the ball now. I did the thing. Give me the ball now, rather than I need to create space away from something that stresses me out. It's just replacing one prey drive for another. And I don't see a lot of pack drive here. But it could be that this dog is great at that and we just didn't get the video of that. So if this dog already has all of those other skills, then yeah, absolutely, this video is awesome. But I would say if this is how every walk looks, we need to get some diversity in the mindset of our walks.
So in this case, if you're in this specific case where it looks like there's one drive versus the other, would you introduce the leash back into the equation or some kind of way to reinforce the mentality before practicing this off leash again?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I want to make sure that we can do this on leash first without a ball and like just be super, super neutral past the rabbit, notice the rabbit, but then maybe, yes, move away if we need to, but then just stay chill, walking with whoever. But then if that's something that's super easy for the dog, absolutely. I'm interested of, can I walk you off leash? Maybe not even past a rabbit, but can I walk you off leash without a ball? That's my first step, and have you stay with me because I'm me, not because I have something that you want. I mean, something physical that you want.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So we have a few more to look at.
There's 2 videos, same dogs, 2 videos. Okay. Moose, purple collar, 4-year-old female pit mix. Both dogs are black dogs about the same size. So we're going to have to look at collars. Herbert, blue collar, 10-month lab mix with toy. And they're both of these videos are the dogs playing tug kind of with a toy. Although we have not had any issues with resource guarding or reactivity to one another, I have a hard time reading Moose's body language. Moose is purple collar. She's extremely patient with Herb, who's a really dominant puppy and definitely is corrective with him at times, but in these videos it's hard to decipher her body language. I'm a recovering reactive dog owner, and Moose is very attuned to my energy and reactions. So you'll see her looking to me in the videos. I've done a lot of work to stay calm when they play or interact, because when we first got Herb, I know Moose picked up on my nerves and would get stiff and tense as a result. My main question is, when she barks and gets vocal, I'm not sure if that's a corrective bark or a talkative play bark, but I felt myself getting tense, so I decided to say hey and separate them before Moose picked up on anything from me. Additional context, Moose is a vocal player, especially when playing with tug toys, even with us, but she also barks like that when she's correcting him for being too much. So this is Moose, and then this is our puppy over here. So stiff tail wag right there. This is what I care about here. We're a little bit snarly. Really like whale eyes right here, ears pinned back, and Herb is not noticing at all. There's a little shift. There's a little recalibration of like, okay, I'm going to lay down, but this dog is very clearly uncomfortable to me.
Yeah, she's like very stiff.
And then he puts his paw on her face. Then they go into tug a little bit. He grabs the toy from her. I mean, she's stiff for sure. This doesn't look like super healthy play to me. This looks like this dog is uncomfortable, Moose is uncomfortable, and Herb does not care or doesn't notice. I think she's being very patient with him, and she's not like snapped at him yet, but I think there's a lot of dogs who would. She rolls over on her side. I don't know what broke that there. Maybe if mom moved. And then it gets a little bit more into play because there's now more movement and he's inviting her in. So now we've got a little bit of a looser tail wag. He hasn't changed. He's been happy-go-lucky the whole time. There's moments of tension. Now, one thing I want to talk about before I even get into this. You will never see me do like those typical dog trainer reacts videos from like a 10-second video. Okay. The reason I wanted people to send me in videos along with some sort of like, what's the background of this video, is because I don't think that even with that last video of Finn, there's a lot that I don't know about that. If we go back to that whole Rosie thing, if I got that video from somebody and I did not know where they were at with their training, that would look amazing. And it was amazing. But I know because Rosie is pretty far in her training that she sent me that video with the intention of, okay, what now? What else can we work on? So if I don't have all the information, I am very, very, very well aware that I could be wrong, and I'm very happy to be wrong. So that's why I think those dog trainer reacts videos can be a little bit dangerous, because you just don't know. You don't know the backstory. You don't know if these dogs are best friends, if this dog has been socialized with other dogs her whole life. You just don't know. But we're going to take what we know from this video and talk about little body language signs. We'll go through this video, but I think it's also, let's look at the other one because she does end up correcting him in the other one. Okay, so same game. One of my things that I'm thinking of here is, do they ever play without a toy? It's very competitive. It is playful though. Like she is, in this video, a little bit more playful than she was in the other one. And then she goes and corrects him. But, okay, so my problem with this, he does move away at the end. But, okay, he moves away, but he's still thinking that wide tail wag, right? He's still thinking this whole thing's really funny, right? It's just, he's not taking much of it very seriously at all. The other thing I notice is the second she moves in, and she said this in her email, is so sensitive to that and immediately goes into this, oh, sorry, right? So I'm wondering if this is the main way these two dogs play, are we numbing Herb out to corrections from other dogs? Because there's a lot of body language signs here that happen before that big correction that should have Herb kind of chill and bring it down a level, but he never really does. He just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. And then are we eventually going to have a situation where Moose is like, well, I get in trouble every single time I tell this dog to back off. And so then we're going to go a lot harder one day. And obviously, like I said, I do not know these dogs. We could have information that makes that not a thing. But I think if these were my two dogs playing, and one, if this was the main way that they played, because we got 2 videos of these dogs playing exactly like this, then I would say, and let's say the older dog or the dog I had first was really stiff in that tug, they wouldn't be playing tug that much. It would be like during that snarl in the very first video, I'd be backing Herb off. No, she said no, back off, let her have the toy. So then that way we're creating another dog who's very sensitive to her corrections. So she never feels like she has to go harder than that.
Before we go any further, I think that is key to know which dog to correct. Because a lot of times you're correcting the dog that's showing the body language signs, like we were talking about the teeth and the tail and the ears, like, and then that little growl, and you're like telling the other dog no, when in reality you got to check the dog that's not listening.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. In a very specific situation, yes. But let's say we get another email after this and they tell me Moose has had a lot of resource guarding in her past and she's resource guarded toys her whole life. Then I'm backing Moose off of that toy. Does that, like, if this is coming from a thing where every time Moose picks up a toy, Herb just moves in and will not leave her alone, won't let her just play with the toy by herself, I'm backing Herb off with this. But if this is Moose goes and gets a toy, Herb comes up calmly to try to play, and then Moose is automatically set off from that or uncomfortable from that and has a history of resource guarding, I'm backing Moose off. So it's truly, you're playing the referee of who's being unfair in this moment. Is it the younger dog kind of being pushy with the older dog? Is it the older dog being just overly kind of peacocking and not letting the younger dog play? What's actually happening here? And that's where the backstory really matters. That's it. It absolutely matters. So, but I do think one of the big things that is, regardless of the backstory, it's very clear that Herb does not care about stiff body language from Moose. And that could be because it always ends up in play, but it doesn't, because in this very last one, Moose, kind of popped him a little bit. So I would be working on getting Herb to understand lesser corrections so she doesn't have to kind of do that big bark at him.
That makes sense. That's why you got to read the room. You got to see what's really going on to understand how to and who to correct. I think that's really important. Like you said, the dog trainer reaction videos. I know you're like, I even told you one time, like, you should do this, you should talk about this. And you're like, no, I don't really like to get into it until I know the full story. And I think that's really important to know the full story before judging a situation. Like this episode we're doing is to just give feedback on what we're seeing with the disclaimer of we don't know the full story. We don't know the full history, but many of these dogs you do know, you've worked on, you've talked to them, not them, but you talked to the
Right.
you talk to the owners.
I have talked to Rosie plenty of times.
She just doesn't talk back.
No,
in English.
sometimes.
It's not in English, but in her own language. But I think that's what's really important when it comes to animals in general is just know the full story before judging. I always talk about this because it comes up on my feed. I mean, my algorithm knows I watch it, so it keeps sending me stuff like this. But people getting bit by dogs, and they're saying, well, the dog was wagging his tail and out of nowhere he bit my face. The dog was sleeping and I always do this, but out of nowhere he went for me. Like that's when you got to read the room. Like what was really going on there? Was that tail wag a healthy tail wag, or was the ears pinned back? Were the eyes open? What was the dog doing? How were you petting the dog? That all goes into play. That all needs to be analyzed. So when you're looking at your dog's interaction with humans, with other dogs, that's what Millie always talks about is see the entire picture of what's going on.
It's never black and white. unless I'm living it, I don't have the information. So I mean, in every Q&A we've ever done, how many times am I like, I have 17 more questions in order for me to give you an answer, because it's not fair. It's not like that. I have been the recipient of many comments on Instagram and TikTok and all of this, where I will post a video of my dog, one that I have raised and worked with every single day of his life, playing with another dog or doing this one thing. And I will get somebody who has never met my dog with an opinion on what my dog is doing and how my dog is feeling in that moment. Not a question, an opinion. I vow to never be that person. So I am very much like, could be what's happening, but there's a lot of backstory you could tell me that could make me come up with a different theory. So we can talk about body language in terms of like, this can mean this coupled with this can look like this conversation looks very one-sided, but it could be you're looking at a minute-long snippet of somebody's entire relationship. If you took the wrong minute-long snippet of me and my husband's relationship, you could think that we had the best relationship or the worst relationship. Yeah. It just depends. There's so many other factors that go into this.
You always talk about this, and I think that's the biggest lesson from this episode, is just seeing the entire picture and being connected to that moment, being connected to the moment with your dog, so that you are paying attention to the full picture.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we're just so disconnected, and we live our life a lot of times disconnected from our daily tasks because there's so many distractions. So you're not really fully engaged in that moment to understand what's going on entirely. And I was going to say about the social media comments, like you would post a video of a dog that you're training, like the Pepsi series.
Yeah.
You get so many things. It's like, oh, but this dog, you're pushing it, you're making her uncomfortable, and then other
or
people
she's
are like,
dangerous. Yeah. And I'm like, can you just wait until she, like, give me a minute at the end of this video, she plays, give me a second.
Exactly. And she's, in a room full of people with dogs that, with trainers that are handlers that have been doing this for a long time. People don't see the full picture before saying, this is the problem. This dog is this, that person's that. See the entire picture, especially when it comes to dogs. Like, they can't tell us in English or whatever language you're kind of speaking to them, I feel uncomfortable, help me, I don't want to be here. You have to just watch your dog and see what's going on entirely to know how to advocate for them, and which dog, if you have a multi-dog household or you're in a room full of dogs, which dog to advocate for.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of times in daycares things go wrong, is because you got a room full of dogs, and then you got one person on their phone in the corner just sitting there. And then when you look at, a lot of these daycares have cameras, so you're looking at the dogs, and then there's one dog tucking in the corner, there's another one bullying another one over there, and there's all these conversations going, and nothing looks too bad, but when you really pay attention to it, you're like, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And just by really looking at how everyone's engaging with each other. So I think it's really important to pay attention. And if you are taking your dog to an establishment, if you are doing play dates, if you are letting your dog play with another dog, to understand the entire picture. You know?
And if you don't, ask questions and don't leave comments about, like, I mean, if you're scrolling, that's my big thing. If you're scrolling through Instagram, there has never been a time I have ever commented on anybody else's picture or anybody else's video that said, this dog looks sad, I wouldn't do it this way. I have never, ever, ever done that. I never will. Because I don't know. I don't know who you are. And I'm very big on making sure that I say that when I'm looking through these videos. And that's why I always have more questions of, just to make sure that the advice that I'm giving you is actually going to be helpful. But if you are scrolling through Instagram, please don't ever be the person that comments something negative on anybody else's post about their dog. You can ask questions. You can refer, like if they're asking for help, you can refer them to a trainer that you know or you like, but you're not helping anybody by just commenting what you think is happening without any of the backstory.
Assumptions.
Yep.
It's what everybody does. And a lot of us do that. And I have to check myself all the time. It's like, am I assuming things here without really knowing what's going on?
Yeah.
When you look back, when you look into different areas of your life, there's so many times where people make all these types of assumptions, and social media has fed that even more.
I've had to coach sessions, like other trainers, because one of my favorite things in the world is doing sessions with other trainers of how to help get their business started and other ideas of how did I get started, all of that, different like services. But I've had entire sessions with trainers that are new to the business about social media and about the good parts and the bad parts and how to deal with the bad parts. And it's because of people looking at pictures of dogs or videos of dogs, and because dogs can't tell you what is going on, then and you may have more information than the person commenting, but you are making some sort of like suggestion on what you believe with the information you have of what you believe is going on. You've got people commenting saying that you're wrong and all of this. We've had that before, clearly, even though it was just my words. We had a video blow up on TikTok because I said if your dog has reactivity, they shouldn't be allowed on furniture. And people on TikTok didn't like that. That's all they needed is me saying that one thing, but they didn't ask why. Now, some of them did, thank goodness. And that's where the beauty of posting this stuff is that you will get just as many people who are curious about what you're doing and curious about your theories on what's happening versus people who are just automatically going to tell you that you're wrong. It's really important that when you are looking at body language videos or anything like that when it comes to dogs, to understand that you may not have all the information. So ask more questions before you give any answers.
Yes. And that's, like I said, pinning back to, this is why we always start with a disclaimer. This is what we're seeing. We believe this is what, this is Millie's theory based on what she's seeing, right? So
I'm happy to be wrong.
So if you have any videos that you would like to send to us, because we are going to do a part 2 episode showing additional videos, and I'll have some of my videos in there as well, because it just dawned on me in the middle of the episode. I'm like, I should have sent in some videos. There was a lot of conversations happening between our dogs here, because we have 2 fosters currently that I would have loved to really look into, because I have cameras everywhere here. So I look back sometimes, I'm like, what really did happen there? You know, even though I was actively there, it's helpful to look back and really analyze the situation. Absolutely. So send over your videos at info@thinklikeadogpodcast.com. That's our email. You can also go on our website. It's thinklikeadogpodcast.com. And there's a contact form. There are different forms of contact in the website. And if you wanted to join the podcast, make sure to fill out that virtual consult form. And you can also become a guest and be part of the podcast. But do you want to add anything else, Millie?
No, I just really want to do videos of your dogs, because then we can have the back and forth of like what happened here. And like, I know the background of every single one of your dogs, and I've worked with every single one of them, except for I kind of worked with Poochie and Louie, kind of, but you don't let them come to day camp. But
I'm working on that.
You got them off the furniture, and that is huge. That's huge.
Yes, I'm
That's
very,
huge. You win.
I had a hack. I have a hack to anybody
who
wants to get their
I feel
dog.
like now you need to tell me the hack privately before you tell it to our entire audience.
This was my hack to get the dogs off the couch, because we've always had Poochie, Louie, our 2 little ones.
Okay.
They did whatever they wanted whenever they wanted. They're like wild. And then I have my dogs that are like, no couch, no furniture, perfectly going to camp like for 3 years straight. So
I'm scared.
This was my hack, right? I sold my couch. And I was couchless for like a month. So there was no couch for them to jump on. There you go. Hack. Get rid of the couch.
All right. That's going to be included. I'll go ahead and change my new client session summary. We probably need to redo the rules and boundaries episode that we've done. And the first step of no furniture.
Just
sell your furniture. Get rid of it.
I literally got rid of my couch. And we stayed without a couch for, I think it was a month or 2. No couch.
Well,
then when I got the new couch, they didn't care about the couch. Like they cared a little bit, like in the beginning. And I was like, no, off, took them off. I actually put the lead on, took them off.
Yay,
took them
good.
Off. And now they don't care about, like, they won't even try.
Perfect.
To jump on the couch.
That's really funny.
So
everyone, if you're struggling with furniture boundaries, just sell your furniture.
They'll eventually like forget about it, but then you gotta.
You have to go a few months. It sounds like without any furniture. So, but then you're solid.
So if you're following along, Poochie and Louie, they're not allowed on the couch right now. We're working on the crate.
Cool.
And
good.
I actually am looking forward to doing a podcast about the crate, because dogs' behaviors, they shift when they're doing crate training, right? Like
Yep.
Louis, I'm going through this right now with Louis. He was doing great at, like, pretty good in the crate. Like he was
Yeah.
going in, he was kind of settling down fairly quickly. And then now he's hesitant about going in. I have to guide him in. And then he immediately starts to freak out, and he calms down after a little bit. He still does this freak out moment. And then feeding in the crate, now he's knocking over his food. So he's not eating in the crate anymore. He's actually knocking over his food. And then when I open the crate, he'll try to peek his head in there and eat his food. So
Rude.
yeah.
That's a cop out. Yeah. I think we should have another episode where we kind of, because we did the crate training, the leash walking, the place work, like the foundational stuff such a long time ago. I think we should have new episodes on each of them and just kind of go back over it. And
revising the crate training. That
Yeah.
episode, you have notes in here about revisiting. Revisiting,
Yeah.
not revising.
Yeah.
Well, we would be revising.
Yeah.
Revisiting the crate training episode, and we'll talk about excessive barking, peeing and pooping in the crate, chewing on blankets, cover versus no covers for crates, different crates, when to change it, refusing to go into crate, like I talked about, Louis. And then another thing we can add on here that we would cover in this episode is, if you're feeding in the crate, what do you do if the dog keeps knocking over their food, spilling their food, not really eating, doing that little nose thing where they try?
Yeah, normally, just for your sake, for Louis, I will either get like a little like pail that like clips to the side of the crate, but you have impact crates, so you'd have to get something to attach that to, or I'd put a little bit of water in it, so and like have that set so it's not something they're like nosing a lot. I would also take blankets out, because sometimes they're trying to cover the food. It's called food caching, and blankets are the thing that gets them, like, they're going to try to cover the food with the blanket, but I'm not saying he might knock it over even without the blanket.
Yeah. Bruce does that with his nose to cover his food.
Yeah.
But, well, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. This was a fun episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram. Send us your questions, your videos for the next episode. And until next time.